Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Kamal Georges. Top of the news this midday hour. Leader of Government Business, Housing Minister Dr. Moonilal has confirmed to CNC3 that fired Justice Minister Herbert Volney wants to part ways with the People's Partnership Government. Dr. Moonilal says the St. Joseph MP has written to him personally, indicating his desire to serve as an independent member in the lower house. Mr. Volney yesterday revealed that his constituents, still upset by his dismissal, have requested that he serve as an independent member of parliament. By doing this, Volney will no longer take instructions from the People's Partnership Chief Whip and will operate in parliament as a UNC MP. While Mr. Volney could not be reached for comment this morning, Dr. Moonilal said he did in fact receive correspondence from Volney stating his position. Dr. Moonilal has asked for a meeting later today to discuss the situation in detail, as there needs to be clarification on a number of issues. Dr. Moonilal told CNC3 that while Volney's move does not affect the government, he should no longer expect any government support in the lower house. He says with Volney expected to speak at the budget debate, which starts tomorrow, Mr. Volney can speak if he wishes, but will have to negotiate for speaking time in advance of the parliament. Dr. Moonilal says more will be revealed on the matter following discussions with Mr. Volney. And political scientist Dr. Hamid Ghani says Herbert Volney's move to act independently is an interesting development. Speaking on the CNC3 early morning show, Dr. Ghani explained that by serving as an independent UNC MP, Volney remains safe in the parliament.
Is to identify himself as a UNC MP, but he's not going to take the partnership whip, so that the directive to partnership MPs to vote a particular way, etc., that cuts across party lines, is something that he's not going to avow, but he's still going to consider himself a UNC MP. And that's important because under the Crossing the Floor Act in the Constitution, the person who goes up on a particular party ticket in a constituency, if that person resigns from their party or is expelled from their party, then the leader of that party can write to the Speaker to have that seat declared vacant.
With Volney expected to speak in the budget debate, which begins tomorrow, Dr. Ghani says this may be Volney's way of attracting the public's attention to what he has to say in the parliament. He says Volney is trying to maintain his party credentials while at the same time allowing himself leeway to speak freely.
Individual ministerial responsibility no longer applies to him, so he's much freer as a government backbencher. But he's maintaining his party credentials, but not his partnership credentials. So he's in fact drawing a line between the two and separating them, and obviously in the process will seek to allow himself some leeway to be able to say things that he would like to say and would not otherwise have been able to say were he still in the cabinet.
An admission today from Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine that the Energy Chamber's claims that the state owes Petrotrin $7 billion are in fact true. In fact, he believes it may actually be more than $7 billion. Ramnarine told the CNC3 early morning show that while the state owes for failed subsidy payments, Finance Minister Larry Hawaii has already proposed a repayment plan. He is admitting that the state's debt has affected revenue production and the oil company's ability to perform.
Petrotrin, that is not true. Petrotrin is actually subsidizing the people of Trinidad and Tobago by the fact that it is owed this significant amount of money. What that has done, it has impaired the company's ability to execute capital projects, specifically to execute the mandate from the Ministry of Energy, which is to increase oil production.
Calling on the finance minister to use his experience in the energy sector to help reduce the gas subsidy, Ramnarine says the increase in premium gas was an indication that government is willing to tackle the issue. The minister explained that for the fiscal year 2012, the state's subsidy is already $4.4 billion, of which a small percentage will be repaid through company levies. Admitting the state still has to foot a hefty bill, the minister says they cannot do it alone.
If you subtract $0.7 billion from 4.4, the government is left with a liability of $3.7 billion, which forms the subsidy to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. One of the issues that has come out of this budget has been the increase in the price at the pump of premium gasoline. That price has increased by 44% from $4 per litre to $5.75 per litre.
The gaming industry is today voicing its objection to the increase in taxes announced for the industry in Monday's budget. In a statement, the Trinidad and Tobago Members Clubs Association says the increase in taxes are inimical to their efforts at creating employment and revenue. It has concluded that the proposed taxes would force many of these establishments to downsize or close their doors entirely. It notes that the industry employs almost 40,000 people both directly and indirectly, and that most of their direct staff come from underprivileged areas and are single mothers, and that over the years it has developed programs to educate and turn their lives around. The association says it is willing to work with government, but pointed out that they must consider that this increase will not help government in its efforts to reducing the unemployment rate. It also wants further clarification on when the new taxes will come into effect. Minister of Arts and Multiculturalism, Dr. Lincoln Douglas, warns that tough measures will now be put in place regarding funding coming from his ministry. Douglas says he has received a 20% cut in his budgetary allocation for the fiscal year 2012-2013. Speaking with reporters at the National Academy for the Performing Arts this morning, Minister Douglas said he will have to make do with what he's received.
In 2011, it was 22 million. 2012, 39 million. In 2013, 7 million. That's the development. That's for development. In terms of social projects, in 2011 it was 22 million. In 2012, it was 33 million, and this year is 6.5 million. For other services, in 2012 it was 6 million. This year is 0.5 million. We've had a 20% cut in terms of what we put forward, in terms of our what we'd like to see and what is the actual. So as you can see, we'll be making $1 out of 60 cents.
Minister Douglas said his ministry is currently working on a policy for subventions which would see more stringent measures put in place for persons requesting money.
The cuts will be very significant in terms of what we have available to give to people, and I think people experience that. And so we will ask for a lot more patience from our population in general. You know, people, once they get money, they start calling about, you ain't give me no money, you get them money, and you get them money, but you ain't give me no money. You know, that's how it goes in Trinidad. But it will be an attempt to meet the parameters or the framework of the financing that we have.
Another sinkhole, this time along a major street in the city of San Fernando. This makes it the fourth time in several months this particular section of the roadway has collapsed. CNC3 News understands that part of the roadway along Scott Street in San Fernando caved in late last night. WASA is now advising motorists and the general public that Scott Street has been closed off to vehicular traffic following the discovery of a sinkhole along a portion of the street yesterday. In a statement, WASA explained that following excavation of the affected area by the San Fernando City Corporation, with assistance from WASA last night, it was revealed that the sinkhole was developed due to a collapsed portion of the sewer main that runs along the street. WASA says a further update will be provided later today as the authorities' engineering team determines the nature and time frame for the completion of repairs. Motorists are at this time being advised to use alternative routes to exit the city. We take a short break. We'll be right back with a look at some sports news. Stay with us. Welcome back. The penultimate stage of the ICC T20 World Cup bowled off with the first semi-final encounter between host Sri Lanka and Pakistan at the Premadasa Stadium in Colombo. Sri Lanka won the toss and decided to have first strike. Openers Mahela Jayawadeen and Tilakaratne Dilshan gave the home team a solid start of 63 for the first wicket. Pakistan got the breakthrough when the informed Jayawadeen was caught by Raza Hassan off the bowling of Shahid Afridi for 42 in the 11th over. Sri Lanka also lost the important wicket of wicketkeeper batsman Kumar Sangakkara when he held out to Shoaib Mohammed off the bowling of Mohammed Hafiz for a rapid 18, which contained 3 fours. The score was 84 for 2 in the 13th over. Sri Lanka went on to lose 2 more wickets and completed their 20 overs at 139 for 4. Pakistan in their run chase are 64 for 4. At the 11th over, they need 140 to win. Well, this country's national cricketers leave this afternoon for this year's Championship League T20 tournament in South Africa. The TNT 15-man squad is being led by West Indies wicketkeeper Dinesh Ramdin, who is currently with the regional team in Sri Lanka competing in the ICC T20 World Cup tournament. The national team will be joined by the 5 national players in the West Indies squad in London on their way to South Africa. The TNT squad is carded to open the qualifying stage of the competition against England county side Yorkshire on October 10th at Centurion Park, and will be back in the action the next day against Uvanext of Sri Lanka at the Wanderers ground. The national contingent and officials are scheduled to depart Piarco International Airport at 5:50 this afternoon. We take another short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 6 persons have been detained in a drug find in Chaguanas. The 6 include 4 Jamaican nationals, a female and 2 Trinidadians. Reports are that Northeastern Division Task Force officers acting on a tip-off and surveillance went to 2 houses at 1 Pavilion Road and Jack Terrence and Enterprise, Chaguanas. Officers found in total 4.5 kilograms of Jamaican high-grade marijuana with a street value of $0.7 million. The 6 are expected to appear before a Chaguanas magistrate today. The Jamaican nationals will be handed over to Immigration Division after it is proven that they are illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, 11 persons were arrested in a roadblock last night. According to reports, the roadblock was carried out on the priority bus route in the vicinity of the Beetham Gardens from 7 p.m. yesterday to 12 a.m. this morning. Police say 35 persons were issued traffic tickets, 6 persons were arrested for the possession of marijuana, and 5 arrested on outstanding warrants. Well, before we leave you today, let's take a look at the weather forecast for the period this afternoon and tonight. Trinidad and Tobago will experience sunny intervals interrupted at times by the light to moderate shower and the chance of the afternoon thunder shower mainly in western areas. Tonight will be settled. Seas are slight with waves reaching 2 meters in open waters and just about calm in sheltered areas. The forecast maximum temperature at Piarco is 34 degrees Celsius and 32 over at Crown Point in Tobago. Well, that's all that we have time for this afternoon. Be sure to join us at 7 for a look at all the day's major developments. I'm Kamal Georges. Have a good afternoon.